Hello and welcome. I am Scrubberlock, and this is City of Heroes. We are with Mister Eclipse, our level 31 Darkness Dominator, and we're on the Lost and Found story arc from Montague Castanel. And the reason I want to actually show you guys this, and you've seen me do it before, but the reason I actually wanted to show you guys this one is simply because the gosh, we can go back to our base. It's simply because the I made a comment in the previous episode that I didn't want to do it because I figured I would have over-leveled it. And somebody in the comments said, well, actually, it'll scale to your level. And it has scaled to my level. So I just wanted to show that so you guys could see that it does scale. Don't listen to me from the previous episode. It does scale to our level. So I wanted to make sure that I could show you that. And I'll also show you how we're getting along. Our character has now an extra slot in life drain. I want that to be triple heal. We're getting close to level 32 at that point. We will automatically upgrade all of our enhancements to level 35 that are not invention enhancers. I'm looking for an accuracy for the Umber Beast because he seems to miss a lot, so I'm leaving this blank. Eventually there's going to be probably a single accuracy and 3 damage on it, but for now I want to get an accuracy in there. So I do actually have a damage that I could build. Recipe, but I haven't thrown it. I think it was this one. I actually had this one. I was going to put it in here, and I thought, no, the haunts have some accuracy already, so I can see replacing one of their SOs with the trainer, the invention trainer. But and I've done that a couple of spots up here and right here. But this one I definitely want to have an accuracy on because it seems to miss quite a bit. I've been missing quite a bit because I've got my missions on +2. Or sorry, +1, so that I'm often facing +2s, right? People who are +1, enemies who are +1 to the mission. We're going back to the headquarters because I want to pick up some inspirations. One of the things I've found fighting the Rikti is that they mez, and one of the problems is that are the Lost. Their lieutenants, the aberrations, who have the mental abilities that can put you to sleep and stuff, they resist my holds. So unless I'm dominating, one hit will not do it. So we definitely need some break freeze. I can't go into a mission without break freeze. Now, I don't know that we need more than 3, but I definitely can't go into a mission without break freeze. And in fact, I'm going to take just 1 extra here because I haven't really had a lot of endurance problems. So I think that's good. So yeah, we're on the Lost and Found, and let's head back to Steel Canyon and go do our mission. So we'll do a couple of missions here. I can't remember exactly where I am in the story arc because I played it a couple days ago, and then I've been swamped doing other stuff. And I made a recording actually of the early part of this story arc, and I did a rant that I really wasn't happy with, so we're not going to replay it. What happened is I got in the middle of a rant about something I probably shouldn't have talked about because it gets, and this will bring us to one of the topics of today, it brushed along the borders of politics, and I really don't want to get into that on this channel. It's just too fraught. This is just a channel about playing games like City of Heroes and talking about role-playing games and game balance and stuff like that. And that's all there is to it. Now, what I did was also talking about game balance, but there was a little bit of, I don't know if there's any other way to say it. There's a little bit of politics to it. So, yeah, you see how fast they do damage to me. Let's see if we can get him held. See, and I miss a lot. Get them to fight each other. Right now they're fighting my haunts. Those guys are pretty useful for drawing some initial aggro. And now we finally got the anathema taken down, you know, held. The mutates are not hard, but the anathemas are really tough. So anyway, I did make a video. It was very rambling. I don't feel like I got my point across well, and what I said wasn't really political, but it bordered on the political, so I just want to have nothing to do with that. Can we just get rid of you? Okay, thank you. So one of the reasons it was bad is that I got really distracted by these guys, and I was almost face planted a couple times. I didn't, but I almost did. So that made the rant even worse, and I think it was because I was distracted by how tough some of the battles were, because sometimes these guys were red and orange instead of orange and yellow, that my censoring system broke down a little bit. And I just made some comments that I probably would have had to blank out. And so I just, because not that there was anything wrong or inappropriate, I just don't want my channel going in that direction, especially at this time of year when there's an election coming up and that kind of thing. I don't want to have anything to do with that. Is there an anathema in here? I really should have stealth on. Yeah, there is one. Okay, but we have domination up. So let's hit him. And then hit these guys with domination. Once we have domination up, we're okay. So, speaking of that, and of politics, of which we shall not speak for the most part, I do want to say that in one of my ARC videos, somebody made a comment that I'm not entirely sure what the reference was referring to. It was a slang that I've kind of heard, and I think I know what it means, but I'm not 100% on it, and I moderated that comment. I took it out because if there's one thing I don't want to deal with on this channel, it's normal real-world politics. Let's please keep that off the channel. So I normally don't moderate things. I'm not going to moderate somebody who disagrees with me in a comment. You guys certainly have seen that enough. But the things that are likely to get me to delete a comment and not respond to it are if you say something overtly political, especially if it's about current day politics that's so fraught with people hating each other and fighting with each other and calling each other names. I don't want to get into that on this channel. But also anything that is X-rated or inappropriate like that, I will probably also moderate, because I don't want that on the channel either. Just that's the kind of thing that will draw YouTube's ire, and we're such a small channel, we don't want to be drawing YouTube's ire. So, by the way, it's never going to be that I don't agree with the politics, or that I'm personally offended by the adult-rated content. It's just that I don't want to deal with it on the channel, and I don't want to give YouTube any excuse to like moderate us or take us down. And I just don't want the channel to get into that. I'd rather talk about video games or role-playing games. And so speaking of that, again, this is not, I mean, I guess there's some politics to this because there is some claim that some of the reason for it's political, but I'm not really interested in that. There is a lot of conversation going on that yet more, even more guys, AAA games have been having problems. And they were talking about how the one studio has lost like $300 million, I think, over the last couple years on games that have bombed. And yeah, I just have to wonder how long this can go on, even though I know these studios are essentially made of money in the sense that they have a lot of money. I have to wonder how long can it go on. These guys can continue losing hundreds of millions of dollars on badly designed games. I just don't know. And when you look at City of Heroes, which is such a well-done game, even something like Ark, right, which it's not a AAA title. I don't think you would call it a AAA. It's not a AAA company for sure. Studio Wildcard's pretty small, I believe. Even that, right? If you watch my Let's Plays, and I'm not arguing that you should, right? If you don't want to, don't watch them. But there are so many silly little bugs that are in the game one of the things I pointed out is there are dozens and dozens of places in the terrain where there are like little handfuls of rocks, like fist size and smaller rocks. It's basically just a terrain decoration, right? It's not a resource you can mine or anything like that. And almost every one of them, it's like they're flat. So the image is a 3D image of pebbles and rocks and stones and stuff. And that image is flat, and it's being placed on bumpy terrain, and you have rocks just floating in the air, and not just in one spot, but in dozens and dozens of spots. And I'm sitting there watching this going, seriously, Arc devs, you couldn't fix this? The game has been available to download in early access for a year, and they still haven't fixed that. I don't even know if it's on their bug list, you know? And that is the kind of thing that, I mean, again, I don't know if Wildcard Studios or Studio Wildcard, whatever it's called, counts as a AAA company, but that is the kind of thing that people get really angry about. Because they're like, look, I paid money for this game. It came out a year ago, or it's been in early access for a year. And why in the world are you not able to assign somebody to go through and find the spots, the instances of this flat set of rocks, and fix them so that they're not hovering above the terrain? Right? And it's when AAA companies don't fix that kind of thing that people get frustrated, because that should be... Who's getting me? Oh, this guy. Great. I over-aggroed. That's why we need to break free. We need heals. Let's run away like cowards. Okay. Just hit him with everything, including our self-heal. It almost always misses when I need it desperately to hit. So yeah, so we have these AAA companies that this kind of thing is sloppy, right? And so people are frustrated that these companies are spending millions and millions of dollars, and they are, I don't know what they're doing with that money. Like, what are you doing with $300 million if you can't even get the terrain right? I don't know the answer to that. Like, we know, for example, in Ark, and I don't talk about this on the Ark video because I don't want to get into it. I'm not really doing discussions of game design, but we talk about it here, right? So one of the things that happened in Ark is they ran out of money, right? And so there was this company called Nitrado that used to be one of the possible places to host your own Ark server if you want to run your own server for people, or just for your little group of friends. And they charge you, I don't know, $15 a month or something like that. It's a typical rate to charge. And so if you don't want to play on the official Ark servers, you can create your own. A lot of people like doing that. And you could use a number of companies, one of which was originally, which was Nitrado. But apparently, because Studio Wildcard was in trouble financially and needed money, they got a loan or something from Nitrado. This is what I understand. I might be wrong about this. But they got a loan from them, and part of the deal was Nitrado is the only provider of Ark server hosting now. Right? And that was all done so that Wildcard could make a little, get a little bit of money at cash infusion, right? So this is the sort of thing that aggravates gamers, right? You put this game out that's not even a new game. It's a reskin of the old game. You're charging nearly full price for it. It's $40. It's in early access for a year. And even with all of that cash infusion, you still had to take a loan from the server company, and as a result, we have fewer options as players for hosting. So if you don't want to host on Nitrado for some reason, you can't. You're going to have to like build your own server. And these are the kinds of things that get the AAA companies into trouble more than the political stuff, right? You charged all this money for this game that's in early access. Why is it that you need to do more? Okay, we're going to need our pets here. Wow. See how fast he hits you. Alright, so he's going after the other guys now, which is good. But I still want to hold him, if possible. Got him. There's a definite sense with game design companies, both some of the tabletop companies like Wizards of the Coast, and the big ticket AAA companies of the video games. There's almost this like, they seem to almost have this derision for their own customers. And I don't really understand how you can expect to be a successful company when you have derision for your own customers. And I also don't know why you would want to even create a product for people for whom you have derision, you know? If you really feel that way about your customers, why are you creating stuff for them? Where is Sidion? Did I come down? Oh, there's another hallway. I assume at some point we're going to end up in a Richte base where Sidion would be. That's usually what happens. So what I have to hope with these anathemas is that I can just survive the first hit, because usually after the first hit I can re-up the hold, and that seems to work pretty well. And then you just gotta chew them down. Fortunately, I do some semi-decent damage now. It's not, you know, blaster levels or something, but or brute levels, but we can do pretty good damage to them now. And we have when we have domination up, we're pretty sick. But you can see, man, they are brutal. Look at, I'm sleeping. See, their mez is pretty awful, and this reminds me of when I was playing my Scrapper and we were fighting Richte. And I've told this story before, and I said, "Oh man, I love fighting Richte. I love pounding on them," or something like that. And they're all like, my friends are like, "Oh, we hate fighting Richte." I'm like, "Why?" And like, all the mez. You know, one of them said, "How can you put up with all the mez?" And I said, "Richte mez?" And there was like all this cursing. They started cursing me out on the channel, like, "How can you not know that they mez?" I'm like, "Never been mez by one," because by then I was 30th level or something, or 25th level, and my practice brawler had been permit since level 22. So I had never been mezed by a Richte. Now I had been mezed by Lost, so I knew they mezed. But even then, you get practice brawler at like 10th level or something. I got it as soon as possible, and when I knew I was fighting somebody like this, I would go in and turn on my mez defense before the battle. So the only way that I got mezzed is either if the battle lasted long enough for it to run out, which is pretty rare because it's like on a 2-minute timer, or I had used it recently and didn't have time for it to re-up, and then I would go into a fight, kind of without it. And they didn't have break freeze back then. So you got to realize that blasters and controllers and people like that who were trying to fight the Richte, without mez defense, they had nothing. They didn't have the backup of the break freeze. So they had nothing that they could do except take it. You can't dodge really in this game. Right? It's not that sort of a game. It's not a first-person shooter. So the only thing you can do is just sit there and take it. I mean, if you attack a guy and he retaliates, even if you're running around the corner, as I've shown you, the blast will follow you. Right? Because the attack was already resolved before you ran around the corner. And so, yeah, my friends were like, how can you not know that Rick Mez? It's like the worst part about them. I'm like, I didn't know they did. Right? Because they don't mez my character. And my alt was a tanker who also had mez defense. Right? So even when I was sidekicked and playing with my other character, she was a tanker. And so she also had mez defense. And so I never really faced Rick Mez's. So I didn't realize... I mean, I knew that their, like, psionic guys did the mezzes, right? But all of their attacks, even the swords and the blasts, have a small mez component. There's a small chance, I don't know what the chance is, like 20% or something, chance that each hit is going to mez you. And when 4 or 5 Richties shoot at you, if you don't have any mez defense, you're going to be stunned. And then they just swarm you, right? So my friends were getting crushed by the Richtie when they were trying to solo them. And I was like purposely going into the zone that had the Richtie. Was a Richtie crash site? Or it might have been Crazed Follies. I was going hunting them. I think it was Richtie crash site. I was hunting them. Right? I was purposely going after the Richtie because they were good XP. And I thought they were fun to beat on. And I said the drones are annoying, but I had Focus Chi. And so I would just beat everybody else up, and then I would turn on Focus Chi and beat up the drone. And yeah, which is like your build up, and so it was just it was just easy XP. So they were like shocked that I went. What are you doing in the Richtie crash site? I'm like, I'm leveling up, right? I'm just 2 beads from level like 38, and I'm leveling up. And they're like, why are you, or whatever 41, whatever level it was? And they're like, why are you in there? Well, because Richtie were easy pickings for me as a scrapper, but Richtie and Lost are very tough. If you're playing something like a Dominator, because they do have the mez component, and if they hit you, you will get mez. You don't have mez defense. Break Freeze cut into that, but you can't carry an infinite number of them. Oh boy. This is Lady Grey, which means, isn't that her name? Or Lady Jane. And yeah, it's very hard to keep her from getting killed. We'll try. One advantage we have, the hold didn't work on him either. One advantage we have is that I can hold some of these guys, although you can see what just a couple of hits can do to me. We can hold these guys, and we also have pets. And by the way, you can see when my hit points are low, it's almost like, and it doesn't say anything about this in the power, guys, so it shouldn't be true, but it's almost like your chance to hit on this power is your chance to hit minus what % of hit points you've taken in damage. So if you have full health, you hit, and if you have very low health, it's like a 99% chance to miss. I will try to help her. I don't think teleport target will work on her, because otherwise I could teleport her out away from them. You coming, Lady Jane? Or are you just going to stand there? Alright, let's throw out some pets. Yeah, missing constantly. I don't know why this character misses so much. Like, I was watching my 2-hit last night, or yesterday morning, whenever I was playing, and it's fall break for me, so yesterday was a Sunday, today's a Monday, and I'm playing in the morning. I can't remember whether I was playing in the morning or the evening, but Doesn't matter. I was watching the 2-hit, and I actually um, rolled over a 95 so many times in a row that the streak breaker had to take over. That's ridiculous. I do love this AoE. It does some nice damage now that we have it enhanced. So our AoE power, Nightfall, that has 1 damage enhancer on it. So we definitely need to get 2 more. 32, we will get more slots. No, 32 we get a new power. 33 we'll get more slots. So we'll definitely enhance the damage at that point. Oh boy, there's a lieutenant over there. Okay, we can dominate him. There you go. Hopefully we won't need that in the next fight. Well, not the next fight. We can use it in the next fight, but hopefully we won't need that after it wears off. Now, this is a dead end. What are these guys, in ambush? How did I miss them? So I hope you guys are enjoying. This character is a lot of fun now that we can put the missions on +1. It's a little more interesting. Requires a little more concentration and thought. And he can do a lot of cool stuff now. He's got 2 different types of pets. He's got a whole bunch of different mez and damage abilities. And that self-heal is very nice, even though I really only have the 2 enhancers on it. When it's 3, it'll be like healing me at this level the equivalent of 150 per shot, which, given that we only have 732 health, that's like a 20% heal, which is pretty nice. Yep, that's another ambush, I guess. Here, you attack them. Great, there's another guy over there. And our domination has expired. Here, you attack your friends. And let's see if we can mez the Behemoth Overlord. She's doing some pretty good damage. I'll give her that. And the nice thing about my mezzing is that I have the ability to basically distract them all. Right? One of them attacks the others, one of them aggro's against me, so they're not all attacking her. The hard part is if you do this at a low level, and you're like a tanker or something, or not a tanker, but like a brute or something, and you don't have your taunt, that can be painful. Because you don't have any way to pull things off of her. You know, I don't know why it came up in my feed. Speaking of games, I don't know why it came up in my feed, but and I don't know why they're doing it now. Man, another ambush. I don't know why they're doing it now, but some people are like recently have been watching the old cinematic trailers for Star Wars: The Old Republic. Now these are like 13 years old now, and I guess these are folks who've never seen the trailers and never played the game. And they were watching the trailer just to see, you know, what it was about. And so I watched the trailers, and I was like, man, I remember that game. That was so much fun. And the trailers, I remember they were so good. And the one person who was watching it was like, why weren't the new movies this good? You know, the new Star Wars movies came out after those trailers. And, like, those trailers were so awesome. Why didn't they make the movies this good? And like, I don't have an answer for that one, other than maybe the people who made the movies just didn't have the ability to make it that good. No idea which way we need to go here. I mean, we're coming up to our goal, but I don't know which direction gets us to it. Oh, this one obviously doesn't, so we'll go the other way. Another ambush. That is a lot. That's a lot of ambushes. One nice thing is the Behemoth Master's little invincibility. That doesn't work at range. Right? That increases your defense based on the number of guys who are near you, enemies who are near you. Okay, this is where she over aggroes. But we do have some help in the form of our haunts. And I can mez. Yeah, that was a super fun game. I really liked Star Wars The Old Republic. I thought there were certain flaws to it. But overall it was a pretty cool game. I think it was very clear to me that you could see the transition to me from when BioWare went from being sort of its own company to being owned by who took them over? Who took over BioWare? EA, right? I almost said Atari, but no, it was Electronic Arts. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when Electronic Arts was a pretty good company. But that's a long time ago. When they were a small company that put out really good games instead of being this giant conglomerate that just buys up all the game companies and, you know, tries to profit. But I mean, I think you could see in the early levels, you have really good story arcs and stuff. And then when you get to the higher levels, they're just mindless battle, right? The storyline kind of fades away. And I think part of it was for expense, right? Part of it was that they had to do all this voice acting and it was expensive to do, right? And they tried to voice act the entire game, and that's expensive. And as a consequence, well, we've over-aggroed, haven't we, Lady Jane? Let's put our pet up so he can help her. So I think part of it was the voiceovers. You know, the voice acting was expensive, and you know, maybe they couldn't do as much of it. But I think a big chunk of it is that BioWare wasn't in charge anymore. It was now that, you know, the shots were being called by EA, and it seemed pretty clear to me that once the shots were called by Electronic Arts, we kind of lost our. They lost their. I don't know, their interest, BioWare, or at least their ability to make the real heavy story compared to the later missions, which are like the Aethys mission was just go to this planet and defeat everybody, and there was no real story to it. There's a little story at the beginning, a little story at the end, and the rest of it was just mindless battle. And I found that very disappointing. No, Lady Jane has to come over here. You got it? Okay. Alright, Wolf, we don't need you. Ironically enough, I have tamed a dire wolf in Ark. I have nowhere near posting the video where I did that because I've been playing a lot of Ark and I haven't been posting that. It's hard to get things posted more than a couple times a week, just because of the way YouTube works and stuff, and the fact that when I'm running a post, it slows down the rest of my internet and stuff. But yeah, I have a dire wolf in there too. That's my main pet. So now both my characters, the one here and the one in Ark, are using wolves. Cool wolves too. Really cool ones. Okay. Guys, I think that is enough for today. You've gotten now a sense of how we're doing at level 31. Let's head to a safe spot over by the train station, and then we'll have a little wrap-up talk. So as I said at the beginning, please do not make comment posts down below about like regular I don't care about gaming politics, but actual politics or things that are X or R rated, particularly X rated. Please avoid those sorts of things. We don't want our channel to come under the evil eye of of YouTube and Google. And we just, we've had a really great channel for 5 years now. Let's keep it that way. And I will be continuing to make these videos once per level. So we have 19 more episodes to go of this character. If there's something particular you want to see, like in the 30s, if there's a particular story arc that you'd like to see me do, or if there's some particular type of thing you'd like to see me do that's not a group content thing, because I don't do group content when I'm narrating. It would distract me from helping my teammates. If there's something else you want to see, please let me know, and I will do what I can to see if I can do that content for you. Otherwise, until next time, I will see you guys at level 32 and our next power. And until then, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been City of Heroes.